everybody, I'm Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Donald Trump is proving that race politics is a double-edged sword. And when the president's opponents use it against him, the sword eventually swings right back at them. Joining me to discuss the most important tweet in history and more is the author of Win Bigly and the Dilbert comic creator, Scott Adams. Scott, we love you joining us, so thank you for being back with us again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so President Trump used a tweet to call out radical Democrats for their hatred of America and their support of socialism. Now, you call him the troller-in-chief. Tell us what's going on with all of this.
Well, one of the things the president loves to do, and he does it better than anybody has ever done it, maybe anybody ever will, which is he's not so much concerned about the details of the facts as long as he's heading in the right direction. And he loves to move energy and attention where he wants it. So by moving all of the energy and all of the attention in the country, it's all anybody's talking about, it seems like, to the question of the squad and whether or not their views are compatible with American everything.
Yeah.
That question is what everybody has to think about now. It's where all the attention is. It becomes the brand of the Democrats, whether Nancy Pelosi likes it or not. So while we're all discussing the actual words he picked and, was he joking? Was he literal? None of that matters. What matters is everybody's focus is exactly where he wants it, to the point where I saw a Jake Tapper tweet that said that even the Democrats are saying, darn it, he won this round.
Well, and that's, by the way, from Jake Tapper. Forget it. I mean, that's incredible to hear that. Now, you say the Democrats and the media translate from English into racist, but you translate from English into New Yorker trash talk. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, there's a lack of understanding that there is a New York personality,
right,
and it doesn't play the same everywhere. And so there is a consistency to the president's trash talking, that he goes a little bit further than you think other people should or that a president should. But if you grew up in New York, it just looks like talking. So when somebody says, why don't you go back home, and if you learn something, come back here and teach us, that doesn't sound the same to a New Yorker.
Right.
Not everybody's the same, of course. I'm making a gross generalization. But I grew up in upstate New York, and when I hear that, I just laugh and say, it's not literal. He doesn't want anybody to leave, per se. It's just about their values and do they match up, et cetera. So certainly if he had said, why don't you leave and never come back, even my eyebrow would go up and say, well, that sounds a little bad. But when you add the funnier part, which is once you figure it out there, come back and teach us how you did it, that should have signaled to everybody not to take this too seriously.
Yes, but again, we're dealing with Donald Trump, with the president, and we know that his critics, Scott, will go out of their way to analyze every single word, every syllable, every part of everything he does. But I think it's actually backfiring on them, because a new Rasmussen poll shows that there is a surge in people who believe the president's critics are using the race card for political gain against him at 49%, and that's up from 43% in a previous poll. I mean, don't you think this is showing that more Americans are rejecting race politics? Aren't we so sick of this already?
Yeah, to use a television term, I think we've jumped the shark, meaning that we've taken a thing that had some value, which is calling each other on potentially racist stuff. Always good. It's good that society is checking each other. We don't go too far. But once you've got AOC criticizing Pelosi for being a little bit racist, and maybe Kamala Harris suggesting that Joe Biden might not be quite as racially, let's say, correct as he should be, I think the entire country just looked at that and said, oh, that's a little bit too far. And they've taken the power out of it.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it's nothing but ridiculous. And, keep in mind that during however many days we've been talking about this tweet, how many actual news stories of actual real life discrimination, bigotry have happened?
Right.
I haven't seen any. I think that the actual news is somewhat empty. And we're living in what I think will be called a golden age eventually. Maybe we need some distance probably from the politics, but the fact that this is the major story, you can't get better than that. You know, if I had to pick a future, it would be, hey, how about the biggest problem we have is somebody's choice of words in a tweet?
Oh, right. That's a great point. Nobody ever says that, but you're exactly right. I mean, that things are going pretty well when that is the news of the day, all day, every day, everywhere. But I never thought of it like that, but that is actually a great point. All right, so at a spirited Trump rally, as we know they always are, in Greenville, North Carolina, my home state, the president talked about the so-called squad of freshman House Democrats. Let's see what he said.
When you see the 4 congresswomen, oh, isn't that lovely? So Representative Omar blamed the United States for the terrorist attacks on our country, saying that terrorism is a reaction to our involvement in other people's affairs. I want to thank those Democrats because many of them voted for us. The vote was a totally lopsided 332 to 95 to 1. 332 to 95. Think of it, we have the strongest economy in history, the lowest unemployment numbers ever, and they want to try and impeach. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
All right, Scott, what did you think of all that?
Well, I thought the entire rally was another work of art by the president. He does rallies better than, again, probably anybody ever has, maybe anybody ever will. And I think that he's using the squad and especially the impeachment talk to great advantage. I mean, there couldn't be a better situation than having us discuss about whether he should be impeached for basically nothing. Even Pelosi can't get on that bus. She's trying as hard as she can to slow things down. So the president has managed to divide the Democrats with one risky tweet. I think probably 85 to 90% of the world would have said, maybe you shouldn't send that tweet. Maybe pull it back, be a little less dangerous or provocative. But his instincts, once again, proved that he knows how to move the needle. He knows how to move people's minds. He knows how to just cause complete consternation in the Democrats. So it's possible. It's too early to say this, but it's possible he ended the 2020 election with one tweet.
Wow.
We won't know for a while, but I think it was that effective, but we won't know for a while.
Yeah, well, he certainly is pinning what these 4 particular women stand for, which are very extreme ideas and ideas that the vast majority of this country probably thinks are crazy, on the Democrat Party. So, to your point, maybe he did, in a way, possibly end the election and in a win for himself with this tweet. But that's right. People can say what they want about him, but I've seen time and time again, when it comes to this particular man, oftentimes his instincts are so much better than anyone else's. I remember numerous times during the campaign in 2016 when he was adamant about something, and everybody who he asked, including me, would tell him something different. You have to do this, you have to do this. And he would say, no, I know what I'm going to do. And it would be something that we all were like, oh my gosh, are you crazy? And it always worked out. He was always right. And had he listened to any of us, it wouldn't have worked out quite so well for him. So he does have incredible instincts, and we will have to see how this all plays out. But I think it is very interesting how one man can just usurp all of the energy and all of the media attention and everything. He is a master at this entire, being president, but really the way that he's able to direct the media is, I think, unprecedented.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about it is that one of the criticisms he's been getting for years is that he's thin-skinned and he's bothered by criticism. But his superpower is that it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's very clear that he's willing to walk into this gigantic nest of criticism that he knows he's going into.
Yep.
He does it intentionally because it puts the energy where he wants it. And I've probably never seen anybody who could handle criticism at the level that he handles it. And it just seems to wash right off. He
Yeah.
just doesn't care.
Yeah, he's amazing. So, Scott, it seems like the Democrats can't make up their mind when it comes to Nancy Pelosi. We had 1 week where she was exiled from the squad because she had gone against something that they said. They had thrown her out. Then all of a sudden, with one tweet, the president brings them back together, and the Democrats are all a party together with these very radical, very far left ideas now based around the squad. What are your thoughts about the way this all played out?
Well, I love the fact that they have to know that there's a puppet master who's controlling their inner fights and their non-inner fights. And so that must be making them crazy. But the fact that the president can so easily divide them, all he has to do is take a side with either side, and the other has to go against him. So he's got this perfect setup where he can go play in their sandbox, and they don't have the same option with him because the Republicans are, I think, the most unified they've ever been in the history of Republicans.
Yeah.
I'll need a fact check on that, but I think it's true. So he's invulnerable for the same attack because the Republicans are pretty much in line. But man, can he have fun with their divisions, and he's doing it. And I always say this about him. I don't think everybody understands the power of the show. That's what I call it. So he's blended his entertainment skills with politics, with business, with all the other stuff he has. And he can put on a show like nobody can put on a show. And they just can't match that.
Yep. Oh, well, there will never be another one like him. There's never been one before him. There will never be another one like him. But he certainly is a master. And in this case, it seems like he's a puppet master of sorts.
Yes.
Well, I think it'll become very clear as time goes on and as we see all of this play out within the Democrat Party, exactly who will lead the pack there, how they're going to try and bring back their image, because their image now, thanks to the president, is right alongside these 4 congresswomen. So we have a lot. There's no lack to talk about these days, Scott. And as always, we really appreciate you being here with us and giving us your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me.
As the American people reject race politics more and more, President Trump will continue to call out anyone, regardless of race, color, or creed, when they express hatred for America and support for socialism. That's the real news for today. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.